Today, I am here to amaze you, with certain things, which I know regarding the astronomy of India. So, you must have, heard about, the Jantar Mantra, because that is the most popular one. Okay, these are the kind of instruments, which usually you see in various places in Jantar Mantras. Then there are 5 Jantar Mantras, in India. Mathura Jantar Mantar, okay, Jaipur, Delhi, Mathura, Kashi, and also, Ujjain. So, in Mathura, Jantar Mantar only that kind of a field is shown, and none of these instruments, are there. In Kashi, it is impossible, for you, to find, because nobody knows about Jantar Mantar. In Ujjain, it is not called as, Jantar Mantar, it is called, something else. Okay. So, the thing is, this is most popular because usually, whenever in India, the intellectuals, when they make, dharna, they go to Jantar Mantar, Delhi. Isn't it? In fact, Kejriwal, also, went. Okay. So, when 50,000 people, go to Jantar Mantar, where do they sit? They sit upon these things. Okay. Next, it is also, beautifully, there is one, plaque, in Jantar Mantar, Delhi, which gives the phone number of a commissioner of Delhi Nagarapalika, Delhi Corporation. If you want to make a dharana, please consult, this person. So, you can also, if you want to make a dharana against, your own Chanakya University, you can go and take permission, and do it, there. So, how is that such kind of a world famous astronomical instruments, Jantar Mantar was reduced to this? Very simple fact is that we do not know anything about Jantar Mantar. So, none of the Indian universities, for example, there are in the last count, there are about 1,575 private and government universities. In none of them, there is a chapter on Jantar Mantar. How it functions, why it functions, what is the mathematics involved, nobody teaches. Okay? Not only on Jantar Mantar, even on Ramanujan, at the drop of the hat, we say Ramanujan is our greatest contribution to mathematics, etc. Okay? Even on Ramanujan, not a single course or chapter is there in none of the universities in mathematics departments in India. In fact, the evidence is that for 125th anniversary of Ramanujan's birth, the great Manmohan Singh went to Chennai Mathematical Institute and declared the date of birth of Ramanujan, 22nd December every year, as National Mathematics Day. The Hindu paper produced 80 pages supplement. Even today it is available on the net. And regarding the cutting edge mathematical research on Ramanujan, none of the articles were written by Indians. This is the state of affairs. Okay, what does it show? It shows, the diameter of the sun. What is the diameter of the sun? 13,77,648 kilometers. The question is this: how to visualize, this one? Even 1 kilometer size, we cannot visualize. 13,77,000. No. What? Okay. 12,756 kilometers is the diameter of the earth. How to visualize this? No, we can't. But that's where, mathematics, comes into effect. It is not the great mathematics, it is only the 5th and 6th standard mathematics, which I am using. That is called as ratio and proportion and shifting, the decimal. Okay, what I have done here? 137,7648. This is kilometers written here. I have put it as centimeters. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 dot. That exactly, I have done. By that, what I am doing? I am dividing by 10,000. So, I am reducing, this scale into 10 to the power of minus 9. So, I am dividing, 1 9 zeros. Then it is possible for me to visualize 137 centimeters, 1.5 meters, definitely we can visualize. So, 14 centimeters Jupiter, 12 centimeters Saturn, 5 centimeters, what is the Earth? 1.27 centimeters. What for? If Sun is 137.76 centimeters, Earth size will be 1.27 centimeters. This is the size of the Sun. Then this will be the Jupiter. hold it in your hand and show it to others. This will be the size of the Saturn. This is Uranus. Upar uthao. This is Neptune. Where is the Earth? Earth, Venus, Mars, and also Mercury. If this is the size of the Sun, these are the planets. So where are we? Not even 1% of this. All this visualization is accurate. You want to measure it? We can. Okay, take this tape. Saturn. How to measure this diameter? Tell me. How? You cannot cut it. How then you measure? Excellent. Okay, measure the circumference. Let us see. Circumference divided by 3.14, that is pi. Okay. 36 divided by 3, 12. ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಸ್ಯಾಟರ್ನ್ 12. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ? ಈ ಟೇಪಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಷರ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲಿಪರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿಲೀವ್ ಮೀ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಅರ್ತ್, ವೀನಸ್, ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಮಾರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಮರ್ಕ್ಯುರಿ. It is not even 1% of the sun. So we are living on this earth and try to calculate, imagine, handle and manhandle the space like this, and man is successful. All this started way back thousands and thousands of years ago, when the early man began to look to the sun, began to look to the moon, began to look to the stars. What did they find? Even today what we find? They just move. They move, that's all. Daily the sun moves. So once in a fortnight the moon also moves and comes to the same place. Stars also move and come to the same place in 1 year. That exactly is observation of mankind. So anybody has visited Sringeri? Yes, Sringeri. At least once in a way you people go there to pay respects to the Sharda Devi temple. Okay, fine. So there one strange thing takes place, and people also will show you. When you enter the steps, about 12 steps of the Sringeri temple, Vidyashankara temple, go inside. There are 12 pillars inside in the Navaranga. After Navaranga there is one small Shukanasi vestibule, and then you will get the main deity, and inside that main deity there is something dark. You are not allowed to there. Okay. So people there say that in every month, and in the early morning when the sun is born in the Udaya Ravi, it casts light through this main door upon particular pillar. Have you heard about that? Have you seen anybody? No, because I know when you go to the temple after early morning 9 o'clock, sun would have come up already, because that's when you people rise, isn't it? Not at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Early morning 9 o'clock you get up. I know that. Yeah. Yes, come over here, gather. I will show you. Yes, as human beings gathered in social groups, because ours is an ancient civilization which just boasts recorded things for 5,000 years. Many nations do not have it. For example, the great America, what is the history of America? Starts from hardly from colonization, hardly 1,000 years when Columbus discovered America. That this. What about the others like Japan, for example? Their history also starts only from the mid 14th century, 15th century. Our civilization is not like that. There are only 3 civilizations like that. So one is the Middle Eastern civilizations, or the cradle of civilization. That's what we call Babylonian, Egyptian, that this, etc. Next is Chinese civilization. Next is Indian civilization, which continuously was inhabited. It was also cohabited, and also records are available that there is a continuous flow of civilization in India since 5,000 years. But what is not there in India, which are there in China and other things, that also I will tell you. In Middle Eastern civilizations, every script, Egyptian script, Babylonian script, Sumerian script, everything has been read. It is already read with great effort, with 300 years of effort, people have read it. In Chinese civilization, there is one peculiarity. 5,000 years ago, in a script, you can read it today because it is pictorial. Pronunciation you cannot make, but you can read and understand. That is the greatest advantage of Chinese civilization. So, how many characters are there in Chinese language? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, 26 characters. In Sanskrit, 56 to 52, 56, okay. In regional language, which varies. How many are there in Chinese? Any guess? 35,000. 35,000 pictorial characters are there. That's why when the revolution took place in 1948, Chairman Mao declared, he formed a committee that this etc. So that is called as there were very many kinds of Chinese. So he declared only one particular Chinese of 1,900 characters as the standard Chinese. All the government notifications that this etc. that is called as Mandarin, not Cantonese, Mandarin. In fact, there are people when you speak Mandarin, Cantonese people cannot understand. That is the thing today. Same thing has happened in Japan also. Okay, but for us, we are having a kind of a multitude of languages, multitude. In the last count, it was 729 languages. Few languages had script, few people did not have. The oldest script available belongs to 7th century BC. Readable, that is called a Kharoshthi. Beyond that, also there is a script which is not even read. You people have to do it. Indus Valley civilization. Okay, script exists, but we have not unable to read. So what I am telling you is this: we are having a kind of a continuous civilization here. So the traits are also in fact there is one joke being told. There was one person called Dom Morris. Have you heard? Dom Morris. He was editor of Indian Express. Two things I will tell you about him. One thing is when he told, in India tea is measured by a meter. Do you know what he meant by that? When you go to the tea shop, he will make tea like this, 1 meter length. That is your tea. Okay. Second thing is, Dom Morris, what he used to say, in India all the 5,000 years lives together. Even today you will find stone gatherers in India, hunter gatherers in India. Even today you find the people talking about rockets etc. in India. 5,000 years lives together here. Somewhere in India you will find all the things together. That's why we say it is a cauldron. Kudiyodu anta heltivala atra. It is a cauldron. So it is a kind of a khichdi. India is a kind of a khichdi. Okay, many times the greatest difficulty is also that how to identify this kind of a multitude of things. So special training is required. Okay, there are special people to train. In fact, your university wants to preserve that kind of Indian knowledge systems. So that's where it is different from other universities. Okay, so regularly primitive societies, when they began to settle down, earlier they were hunter gatherers. Where are hunter gatherers even today? The people in the northeast who do that kind of a jhum cultivation. What do you mean by jhum cultivation? Cultivation they do, but they burn one particular area, and then they grow it. Next time all the kind of ash etc. will give the fertility to the soil. When the fertility is not there, they will go to another kind of another forest. They will burn it there and then do it. Even that kind of cultivation also exists. But generally 10,000 years ago, people began to settle down. When they began to settle down, they were all agricultural societies. In India, peculiarity of India is not Egypt. Why I am telling you that? Egypt also an agricultural thing was there. Okay, imagine that. On particular day in Egypt, not a single cloud is there. Not a single cloud. the flood starts coming, Nile starts coming, because 2000 miles away in Ethiopia there are rains. It takes 1 week for the floods to come to Egypt. How much of floods? 50 kilometers on this side, 50 kilometers on this side. So much of floods, not a drop of rain. That is the gift. That's why we say Egypt is the gift of Nile. Okay. So next, even in China, this Yangtze river, when it just floods, that's why we were saying Yangtze river is the death knell to China, because anything and everything what you grow, just it is covered. Now they have avoided with 3 gorgeous dams. Okay, right. But in India is peculiar. It is not like that. There is a season for rains. That's why when we say monsoon. Okay. So monsoon is peculiar to India. There is a particular season for rains here. So nowadays that whenever these mobiles etc. are there, whenever there is, please people from northeast they can testify, whenever there is a rain in Bangalore, there is a rain in another particular called Shillong. 1-to-1 match you can do in not even minutes. If you are having some friend in Shillong, when you tell him this is raining in Jayanagar, Bangalore, there also he will say it is raining there. Okay, so we are having such kind of a monsoon. So monsoon means when it comes. So there is a particular season. How to count it? By looking at the stars. That's what our people did. So by looking at the stars, by cataloging the position of the sun, moon, Jupiter, planets, etc., etc., they were used to determine when the monsoon starts. That was very important for the civilization, because that used to give them food. The farming activity was concentrated upon that. Later this monsoon also became a kind of a Kuthara, what do you say, for us, because it's only the monsoon winds Vasco da Gama came. Till then nobody knew that monsoon winds existed. Okay, right. So we are having this kind of instruments etc. Here and there we find archaeological excavations we make, in certain other societies make. So that is the picture of a bone where some kind of markings are there, and it is not the peculiar kind of markings. That stick belongs to about 10,000 years ago, and those markings are exactly 15 and 15. Where these numbers are there, 15 and 15 in Shukla Paksha and also Krishna Paksha, isn't it? Okay, we do not know, but those markings are still there. Next one, sir. Yeah, in Andhra, see, for example, there are peculiar names also for the constellations. In Andhra, for example, that what we know call as Orion, it is called as Pleiades is called as Pillal Kodi. Okay, even in Kannada you find such kind of peculiar names. That means to say they were giving such kind of things because they were observing continuously. You find in thousands and thousands of places the stones like this. They are particularly aligned to the sun and moon, and also certain peculiar astronomical things. This is the stone alignment in Haramas, Agra near Gadag. You find 2,500 stones. Distance between one stone and the another is 12 meters apart. Exactly. See, this is the kind of an arrangement you get there. This is not a natural kind of a thing. Of course, megalithic people, they did not write any kind of inscription. What is it about? This is the kind of arrangement. Now, even today we find in Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, what we call today, those stones correspond to those kind of alignments. So definitely this is not at all a natural kind of a thing. So I am speaking about 10,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, people had continuous observation, and also they were devising implements like this. In fact, it may be strange to you, this is an astronomical implement, this is the tool, okay. And here in the Harappan, I think on the pottery we find that there is nothing peculiar, but there is some peculiarity. You see the spots there on the horn, it exactly corresponds to 15, 15. Perhaps in Harappa you find the bowls like this with a sprout with a hole under. Now we know that for Ghatika yantra, so they used to take in a coconut shell. You must have heard about the story of Leelavati. Okay, so they put one hole there and then put it in the water. So when the water fills up, exactly time 24 minutes. That is called Ghatika. Okay, it could be for that. Yes, these things are also we find there, especially the lower one. Okay, so those appears to be in a kind of a protractor. You see, this is particularly shown. How many strokes are there? Exactly 7. And there is fish. In Tamil, it is called, in almost all Dravidian languages, mean is fish. And also mean also means jo chamakta hai na, just which just blinks, that is also called min. Minukhu we say. Okay, so this is associated with the Saptarishi Mandala, because which is a permanent feature there. So in Vedic period also in the Vedic corpus we get lots and lots of references. Of course, the planets are not told there. In fact, in Vedas there is one portion called Vedanga Jyotisha. There one yuga is called as 5 years, not 4,32,000 years, etc. 5 years. We are having a peculiar concept because of our engagement with astronomy. What is peculiar and distinguishes India from other astronomies is the concept of tithi. So tithi means how far the moon is away from the sun. So that's why it usually it changes. Okay, it's all. So you must have seen all these kind of discs anywhere and everywhere. Usually in the Panchangas. Have you ever seen Panchangas? Because for my study, I have been collecting this kind of Panchanga. This is called Vaijayanti Panchanga. This is called Asali Panchanga. I don't know what is Nakali. Okay, this is called as Jagadjyoti Basaveshwara Panchanga. This is Dharwad Panchanga, etc. Okay, so all these kind of things you will get peculiar things like this. All these things are there. These are the Jaina manuscripts. You see the colors what they have put, the drawings what they have put. They have a peculiar kind of a conception about not sun, moon, something, cosmos. They are the first people to record something like cosmos. Cosmos means Vishwa. All these things put together, that is the concept they first have it. Yes, we get the calculations like this in Siddhanta Granthas. Of course, this is not the way they used to write. They used to write in the palm leaves. Okay, so we used to get a lot of calculations also with drawings. We get in Siddhanta Grantha. This is the name you know very well, because there is a name of a satellite called Aryabhata. That's how you people know. I know it. And he was speaking about instruments in Aryabhatiya. So he also speaks about instruments, that I will tell you later. There is some peculiarity in the movement of the planets. Planets, you see, they do not blink. Imagine a kind of a Jupiter. So it will be just traveling. Sometimes what happens, once in a year what happens, it stops. Next it goes back, then goes forward. This happens for every kind of a planet, including the inner planets as well as outer planets. People thought, so it is just because Earth was, they consider Earth as the center, things were going around. They just stop there, make another kind of a round and then go back. That is called an epicycle. Still Copernicus discovered what is what. This kind of a thing continued all over the world, not only in India, all over the world. Next name is Varahamihira. So you must have also heard about him. Next he is Bhaskara. He is more popular because of his story connected with that, called Leelavati. So Leelavati is the name of the chapter in his Siddhanta Grantha. He didn't have a daughter called Leelavati. Yes, Brahmagupta is also another name. You will find very popular because he was the first man to describe operations of numbers. Till then everybody including Aryabhata just described how to add something to it. No, this fellow what he did, he gave the rules for multiplication of numbers including 0. So from India people got lot of knowledge, because it is a landlocked country. India is a landlocked country to the west, not to the east. So east traffic is very little, because there is only one valley called Brahmaputra Valley. Okay, but in the east, say in the west, continuously there was a kind of a trade. So, people used to go from here to there and there to here, etc. So, that is how Indian knowledge went to the west, and in fact all the people acknowledge in India, all the ancient astronomers recognize that. And something peculiar happened, something peculiar. Aryabhatta specifically told and described correctly the eclipses, etc. But later on it got changed. The concept of Rahu, Ketu, orthodoxy, everything came. But we find in India this kind of two extremes. One is the pakka science in the ancient granthas, but in practice as it is existing today, it is with a blind tradition. This is the thing which we have to know, and we have to separate the chaff from the thing. Tradition is different, this science is different. This is another kind of a thing. There is one kind of a okay, from this center, from the earth, every other thing moves in a circle, isn't it? So, if you were to know the motion of the planets, the number of days or the speed of the planet, you will definitely know the diameter of the scale, the circle, definitely, isn't it? Circumference divided by 3, just now you did it. So, you can definitely calculate whichever just moves with its period, whichever it moves, its distance from the earth, that you can definitely, or reverse the question, you can predict it also. Next year where it will be, you can predict, because what distance it will be, what will be the speed, etc. Okay. So, there the problem comes, because it involves the number pi. Pi, we say we just divide by 3, no, 3.14, not even that. When you want to predict it, 3.14 will not be sufficient, 3.141517, see, so many things it just goes. So, the calculation of that accuracy of pi was very, very important to predict the place of the planets, as well as especially the moon. That is where this Kerala people they invented calculus, or they did not call it as calculus, but they tried to invent the approximation methods of the calculus. We come to this man. Can anybody recognize Savai Jai Singh? Okay, he is most famous because, okay, I have to tell you some kind of a story. Shah Jahan died. There were 4 sons for Shah Jahan. There was a fight for them to catch the throne as an emperor of India. So, many people came and went, few people were there for 15 days, murdered, 1 year murdered. Ultimately, there was some kind of a stability when Muhammad Shah Rangila came to the throne. He was there for 12 years. He conquered everybody, and he was there. So, but he did not assume though powers were there, Pattabhisheka was not at all done for him. Coronation was not done. So, in the Asthan so they were discussing what is the correct thing for date for coronation. Islamic scholars gave a different date, Hindu scholars gave a different date. But the thing is, they did not know what is what. So, Jai Singh because Jai Singh by those times he knew Persian and also English, there was a continuous traffic of this Jesuits, Christian missionaries to the Mughal court, because they wanted certain permissions, that this, etc. So, Jai Singh applied to Muhammad Shah Rangila, give me some money so that I will make a Vedashala. So, 12,000 rupees was given to him. So, that is how he made one Vedashala, that is Jantar Mantra at Delhi. So, with that he calculated the position of the planets as well as the stars, and gave a particular date on which Muhammad Shah Rangila was coronated. So, Muhammad Shah Rangila was again, as the story goes, he was murdered after 12 years, but 12 years he was there. So, it is this legacy what we are having as Jantar Mantra today in 5 cities. And he was also a peculiar man, because he was very rich, he was a military commander, he was a mathematician, and he was the first man to translate Euclid's elements into Sanskrit. So many things are there. So, he was also the first person after more than 1000 years to build a city. Other people improved the city, Kashi was improved, Delhi was improved, etc., etc. New extensions were added, etc. But he built a new city called Jaipur. So, there the Jantar Mantra as we see it today, all these things belong to that. This is the most famous one because this was adopted as a kind of a logo for Asiate games in 4 anna coins and 8 anna coins, etc. You find this because this looks very beautiful and symmetrical. Next we get this I know for sure that you people have not at all heard about him. That is called Patani Samanta Chandrasekhara. He died in 1904. So, he was not at all educated in any astronomical school, but he was with a traditional knowledge, he made accurate calculations. So, then modern astronomy came and etc. Okay, that is the kind of a thing. This Jantar Mantra was used for 2 purposes. One is the calculation of time, another is calculation of the position of the planets and also the stars. For example, how to describe some kind of a star here. What they used to do simply was this Digamsha and also Unnatamsha, Azimuth and Altitude. Because what is permanent in the sky? The pole star is permanent in the sky, in the north. So, from the pole star they used to turn, what is the angle? That is the Digamsha. From that horizon they used to go up, that is the altitude. So, Azimuth and Altitude, Digamsha and Unnatamsha. So, to find this was very difficult because there was no telescope. There was no crosshairs, there was no lens. So, what they used to do, let us say this is the angle. If this is the angle, if this is the distance, how many divisions we can make? Only 2 or 3 or 4. That imagine this 5 meters, imagine this 5 meters, how many divisions we can make? 1000, because it is divergent. That exactly is a trick employed by Jai Singh. He built huge instruments, so that he can divide that kind of a distance here into 100 equal parts, 1000 parts, etc. And that is how his calculations were very, very accurate. Very accurate for that period. In fact, he exceeded the accuracy beyond Copernicus. So, that is the credit of India. So, what we can do is only this. See, this kind of a tradition was still alive. See, he was not born a kind of a genius, he learnt it from the tradition. So, traditional knowledge whenever it finds some kind of a money or some kind of a patronage, we say it just flourishes. So, there is a need for such kind of a patronage, there is a need to conserve this 5000 history of India. And we were not at all bereft of this kind of not that knowledge came from somewhere else, just like in America. No, it did not come. Do you know what Chinese used to do? Chinese since 14th century they used to import astronomers from elsewhere, from Dutch, from Holland. So, we did not never did it. So, it was an inbuilt Indian knowledge. That is why it is absolutely necessary to say that this knowledge is conserved and this knowledge is learnt, and this knowledge is preserved. For science there is only one test, verification. If there is a star here, if I were to measure it Digamsha and Unnatamsha, if I were to measure it, same. If I am an American were to measure it, that will be the same. If you were to measure it somewhere, that will be the same. For verification it obliges. For astrology verification it does not oblige. One clue. There are at least 5 to 6 newspapers where daily bhavishya is given. Please make a cut of it and see. Daily one fellow contradicts the other, the another fellow contradicts the other. There is no verification. So, whatever that is verifiable without any kind of a bias, you should not say that you are a bhakta of some god, so you get results, or you are an Indian, you are an American, you are a Thailand. No. Science is common, verifiable. It should be amenable to mathematics, it should be amenable for verification. That is the thing. Of course, your question is very true because in 1930, psychologist Freud, have you heard about him? Okay, Freud, Sigmund Freud. Okay, he had a shishya. Okay, so he said that why this is because people believe. His investigation was that what all the things people believe and it may not be truth. How it just influences. This is called as Digamsha Yantra. This is not of this size. This circle is 25 feet in diameter, 25 feet. So, this pillar is more than 13 feet height in Ujjain. Okay. So, what they used to do? Let us say this is the north. So, there the permanently there is one star called Dhruva Nakshatra. Let us say there is one star here. How to calculate time? First of all the time, and then how to calculate the coordinates. So, one person will stand here, he will give a rope to another person who stands above this. So, he will move start, move. This fellow says stop, because it is exactly at this point. When he stops, so this fellow comes forward. Okay, this fellow who was down below, he gets up. So, he just holds it. Then there are also markings over here. He just holds like this, up. So, with this kind of a marking, so he just says what is the kind of what is the degree to which it is there. That is called as Unnatamsha. So, you will get Digamsha and Unnatamsha. Those are the two coordinates required. So, now we know at present what they do. What they do is they have a separate instrument called transit instrument. Transit instrument you will get telescope as well as crosshairs. So, crosshairs means it is accurate, pinpointed, isn't it? So, that kind of a pinpointed thing was not possible here. That is why it was necessary for him to make it so big, because they can divide this into 1000 parts or 100 parts. Please go to NASA website. Two peculiarities you can see. One is please go to that moon's distance. Laser measure moon's distance. So, because you have asked the question, I want to tell you this. Okay, all of you think that moon, it rises like this, it comes here, it goes down. It does not happen like that, because okay, moon what it does, it just wobbles like this, it just wobbles. Apollo 11, it went there, they kept one instrument that is called laser reflector. From here when you put the laser, it reflects back. By that what you can do, you can calculate the exact distance, because you know the speed of light and all that. Then these people came to know the moon, not only it wobbles like that, it also goes like this. That is called a perturbation. In NASA website when you go there, you will see so many numbers are there. Every second it varies. So, moon is coming forward, going backward, it turns like this. So, it is unstable. Okay. Just like that the earth also is unstable. In fact, in mathematics there is something called three body problem. Three body problem means sun, moon and also earth. All the three are attracting each other, because they have gravity. When all the three are attracting each other, but they are describing a kind of a path, that is called a three body problem. In mathematics, three body problem is not solved. There is no solution. That means the three body problem cannot exist, but in solar system we are having n body problem. Not only 9 planets, thousands of satellites we are having, thousands and thousands of asteroids we are having. Okay. So, all these kinds nowadays you will find in a NASA website. To the hour they will give the distance. In fact, when I showed you that chart distances chart also I have, you can also see almost about 12 million kilometers. In summer we are very far away from the sun. In winter very nearer to the sun. It is strange, isn't it? In winter, whenever there is a cold, we are very near to the sun. When it is very hot, we are away from the sun. Why does it happen? That is called as seasons. Okay, that is a separate science. Okay, the Rahu Kala, Gulika Kala, etc. That is okay. Even though you will find in every Panchanga you will find that, every pocket calendar you find that there is no scientific basis upon that. For example, what is the basis on which they calculate? No, it is not there, because it is not related to the motion of the planets or the other bodies here. That is why all over the world Rahu Kala and Gulika Kala are same. Thank you.